I refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day.
Andrew McCART, IFL TV, proudly sponsored by Everlast. I'm here with Mr. Sam Jones again. You already know I always love talking to Mr. Sam Jones. He's got an opinion on everything and I love it. So, Sam, how's things?
I need to be less opinionated. I'm good, Andrew. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good, mate. I'm just out the gym this morning, done a couple of hours, got my cup of tea in my hand, ready to talk to yourself. So let's just jump straight into it. You were at the fight on Saturday night, Joshua versus Franklin.
Yeah.
Obviously, I heard a couple of interviews from yourself, and I think we spoke about it as well, that you almost wanted to see the old spiteful Joshua, the one that would knock Jermaine Franklin out in 3-4 rounds, so we get back to the old Joshua. We didn't see that. We saw a more tentative Joshua. So just give me your thoughts on the fight itself.
I don't know. I found it like not sad watching the fight, but I just thought he just didn't look like he wanted to be there, Andy. Like he was kind of going through the motions a little bit. And that isn't Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua is a spiteful, punching, aggressive, like wants to get his man out of there. Like he didn't look terrible by any means. Like it wasn't a terrible performance. Because I think Jermaine Franklin, and I'll give him credit where it's due. Like he's a lot better than what I gave him credit for. I'll be honest with that. But ultimately, elite heavyweights should be getting rid of Jermaine Franklin, in my personal opinion. And I'm not being disrespectful to Jermaine Franklin, but the old Anthony Joshua would have destroyed Jermaine Franklin. That's just my opinion, mate.
The fight itself, then, obviously, we did see Joshua land that right hand that's put a lot of people away, but I think the commentary said it as well. When I was sort of like saying it in my head when I was watching the TV, was bring something in behind the right hand. He was landing a nice right hand, but then if he took behind it, maybe could he have got him out of there?
Do you know what was mad? I was sat next to Joe Cordina here. Ben Davison was on that side. Jack was sat there, but Ben Davison was sat literally next to Jack. And Ben was just like, 2s and 3s. He was out shouting. He was like, don't wait. Like when Jermaine Franklin was coming back with something, Joshua had to respond with something. I just think it was just such a tentative, one-pace performance from Anthony Joshua. And I don't know. Like when he was in the clinch, he was like looking into the crowd. Like I don't know. I just found it a little bit sad watching him fight. Like a little bit like it wasn't the old AJ we come to expect. And like Andy, I still think you can still see he's fit, he's strong. He did the 12 rounds, and like 'cause I know he does worry. It's all between the ears with Anthony Joshua. It's all psychological. You can see that, and like I still think he can get it back, but it just looks like, I know it's a cliche, but like he's lost the eye of the tiger a little bit.
That's the thing. It's like I was sort of like watching it and not hoping he would get the stoppage, because if he did get the stoppage win and one of them spectacular knockouts like the Charles Martin, the Povetkin sort of knockouts, then his confidence would have just went boom through the roof. Because coming back off 2 back-to-back losses against Usyk, I mean, maybe in the back of his mind says, if I lose this fight, that's 3 in a row. Do you know what I mean? It's close, isn't it?
I think AJ would probably admit that if somebody asked him, like, was you nervous? Because he looked nervous. He looked very nervous, and he just didn't look like the Anthony Joshua that we've seen over the years, who's packed stadiums, and he just looked like genuinely like he didn't really want to be there. Like he said in his post-fight interview, like, I don't really want to do. There's too many media outlets, and there's that. I don't really want to do, and I get it. I do get it, but I don't know. I was just a bit, as a fan, I was just a bit like. That kind of thing. It was a bit that type of performance. And Andy, like, I'm not just saying this, but I really am a big fan of Anthony Joshua. Like, I'm a fan of his. Like, I was shouting for him. Like, I wanted him, but he's just got to get back into gear. Like, and if he doesn't want to, that's fine. Retire. Do you understand what I mean? Like, you've got more money than you can spend in 10 lifetimes. You've got houses all over the world. You've got, as I say, you've got everything you want in life, but he doesn't look very happy. Does that make sense? Like, he doesn't look very happy like at the moment. I just think, I hope he gets it back, and I hope he finds peace like in his life type of thing, because it's like, if he wants to box, then I'll support him because I'm an AJ fan. Like, I want him to do well. But if he doesn't want to box, he's had a great career. Do you understand what I mean? Is that, but in my opinion, he's still got lots. He should still have lots in the tank, because he's still young for a heavyweight. Really, I kind of wanted to see that. Like, do you know when Klitschko got knocked out a few times in his earlier part of his career, and he kind of linked up with Manny Stewart, and Manny Stewart made him the force that he was. Okay, albeit it wasn't a very good era in heavyweight boxing until obviously Tyson come along and beat him. But he was dominating heavyweight boxing. I was kind of hoping that type of Anthony Joshua would come out like a rebirth type of thing, and he's going to have another really good run. But listen, I was disappointed, but it wasn't a terrible performance by any stretch. But it was just kind of thing. It was that's the only way I could describe. That was what I left the O2 Arena like thinking he could have done probably a bit more. But let's see. I mean, I would like to see him fight. Listen, if I'm looking after Anthony Joshua next, and I know it's controversial, but if I was looking after Anthony Joshua next, I would get a confidence builder, and I would do it in the form of Jarrell Miller, because there's beef there. The gloves are off. People would be interested in it. It would be tasty warm up, a tasty build up, and I think it would bring something out of Anthony Joshua. I think Jarrell Miller would be the perfect opponent for AJ next, because I think he'd lever him, if I'm honest. Or someone like Dillian White, like that. It's got to be those two. But the talks of let's do Fury next, like no, mate, or Joe Joyce, like, you know, Joe's my guy. I would love Joe to have that type of night against someone like Anthony Joshua, but mate, that wouldn't be competitive. That form there, it wouldn't be competitive.
That was going to be my sort of next question, but I just want to jump on something you said there with the Klitschko teaming up with Manny Stewart.
Yeah,
that's the same sort of thing now. Joshua's had 3 coaches in the last 3-4 fights. He's teamed up with Derek James. He seems very, very happy with Derek James now. Obviously, that takes time when a fighter who's like an old school fighter, not an old school fighter, but an old fighter in Anthony Joshua. He's been in the game over 12 years now, 11 years in the pro ranks. So he needs that time to gel with Derek James. And in the corner, you couldn't have heard about it. Derek James was saying, go to the body, left hook over the body and come to the body. He done it in the 11th round and he landed the shot. So it took him until the 11th round to land the shot that Derek James was asking for. So he needs time to gel with Derek James.
And listen, that's why I say, so don't clickbait me about that. Oh, it's not competitive with you. It's not competitive with Joe Joyce based on that.
You. Shut up, Sam. I clickbait you all the time. Don't worry about it.
Like, it's not competitive based on that performance. You understand? That performance, it's not. But the old Anthony Joshua, it's very competitive. Do you know what I mean? It's a pick 'em fight, really. But I just think that AJ needs to, if he wants to carry on boxing and he's happy, give him a confidence builder with someone like Jarrell Miller, because it's a good fight. Like, it's a good fight for him up here. Jarrell Miller will talk a lot. It will be a good build up, and ultimately he's tailor made for someone like AJ. Bit of a plodder, not very fast. Big, massive target to hit. Yeah, that's what I would do next.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Do we need a Jarrell Miller, Dillian White type to bring out that spiteful Anthony Joshua in the build-up to a fight? So the press conference away, and there's going to be shoving, there's going to be that sort of bully tactics from his opponent. So we need that to see the spiteful Joshua.
We want to see, like, we want to see that spite come back. We want to see. Do you remember when AJ was just dogging it out with Dillian in the O2 Arena? Like, when it just turned into a scrap. We need to see, like Jermaine Franklin's not a big talker. He isn't a big talker. Not calling him boring, but he's not like, oh, I can't wait to watch Jermaine Franklin fight. Do you know what I mean? He's not. Usyk, he's not a big talker. Genius of a man, unbelievable fighter, but he's not like a big. He doesn't speak much English, and it's like it's this Jarrell Miller would come over here and Dillian White and then stick it straight on AJ on the press conference. It would be tasty. And I think AJ needs that hunger, not the hunger, because you can see he trains. Like, you can see AJ, he's left no stone unturned with the training. There's nothing wrong with that. And his conditioning, there was nothing wrong with the conditioning. It's more the let's go type of thing. Get his juices flowing. That's what I think he needs. That's what I think. I think the opponent choice, not that they'll regret it, because he's got another 12 rounds under his belt, which is not the worst thing in the world when you've got a new coach. But ultimately, that crowd in the O2 Arena were baying for a knockout. So I think bring Jarrell Miller to the O2 Arena in that wolf pit type atmosphere, and you're going to see Anthony Joshua bring back the spike, which I hope he does, because I think I think people don't give AJ enough credit in the sense of, I looked at that. I've been to a few boxing shows recently, and you look back in the stands and there's loads of empty seats, Andrew. And for me, like in a sport that I absolutely love, that I owe everything to, I don't like seeing it. I like to see packed arenas. I want to see all the boys get paid what they're meant to be getting paid. I went to the O2 Arena on Saturday, and it was packed, absolutely packed, and the atmosphere was incredible. And that's because of one man, Anthony Joshua. And we need AJ. This country needs AJ. Boxing needs Anthony Joshua for a little while longer yet.
We need the hungry AJ. We need the hungry.
We need a hungry Anthony Joshua back, Andrew, and we need him quickly, because, as I say, there's not very many people. I did my podcast yesterday. I was talking to Mick Conlon. There isn't many fighters like Mick, who has his own fan base and stuff, and Canelo Alvarez, Josh Warrington. He's coming towards the end of his career. AJ. There isn't many fighters that pack arenas out anymore, Andy, especially over in this country. They're few and far between. So long may Anthony Joshua continue, mate, because he has been the best servant to British boxing, and I would love to see him competitive with the elite again. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because I respect him a lot.
Sam, I agree with everything you said there. Now, just to touch on the Tyson Fury fight. Now, I've said this in numerous interviews. I probably said it to you. As a selfish boxing fan, no matter what happens in their careers,
I want to see them fight.
6 losses, 10 losses here. I still want to see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. That can be both belts. Both of them coming off losses. As a selfish boxing fan, I want to see that fight. So in an ideal world, Joshua beats a Dillian White or a Jarrell Miller, then ready for Tyson Fury in the autumn.
Do you want me to give my honest opinion on this situation? I think you will see Tyson Fury against AJ. I do think that. But I think you're going to see it when they're both on their last legs. I think you're going to see, I was just about to say, Manny Pacquiao against Floyd Mayweather, when it's the last cash out type of thing, the very last one. And it's a bit of I just see it. I think in the way boxing is at the moment, that's my honest opinion, what I believe will happen. I think the fight will happen. Because no doubt, they both have each other's numbers, yeah? And they will be messaging each other, whether it's once a month or whenever. And they'll be like, we've got to do this type of thing. Do you understand what I mean? But one thing is for certain, you've got to get them both in a room together and get the deal done while they're both present. That's my honest opinion, because listen, I'll be happy if I see the fight whenever, because I just think, like you, I'm a selfish boxing fan. I want to see that fight, because whenever I get spoken to by randomers of that like boxing and stuff, all they ever say to me is like, oh, wouldn't it be great if Fury fights AJ? Like, everybody wants to see that fight. Like, everybody would want to see that fight. It doesn't matter who you think's going to win. Tyson Fury will be the favourite. But I just think they're both going to fight each other, and they're both going to fight each other when it's like your Pacquiao Mayweather situation. And it will still do great numbers. But I just think that it will be a Mayweather Pacquiao type event.
I know that again, people tuned into that Mayweather Pacquiao event, even though it was past their sort of sell by. Past their sell by date is probably a too strong a word, but I know they were tune into the fight. I think people will still go for it. I think people will still tune in, buy the pay-per-view, go to the event if it's Wembley Stadium. I think it will still sell out. But again, we want to get them in their prime.
Yeah, and listen. By the way, sorry about I'm having an extension, so it's making all the builders making noise. But I just think that's what you're going to see. Like, that's my honest opinion, Andrew. I just think that's why it's so refreshing, by the way, because you've got Tank and Garcia fight, which I think is hands down the best fight in world boxing. Yeah, I think that's the best fight in world boxing. I think boxing needs fights like that to happen. Spence Crawford, I'm hearing they've picked up talks again, but like it's almost I'm bored of talking about Spence Crawford now. Like I'm bored of hearing about it. AJ Fury will always be there, Andrew, but I just think, in my humble opinion, that we're going to see that fight. We will see it, but it will be not when we want to see it.
Yeah, but well, as long as we see it, in my eyes. Sam, I do want to quickly get your thoughts on Jack Catterall.
Yeah.
Post up saying you're delighted to be advising his career going forward now. He's signed with Matchroom. He's going to be fighting on the Zone. Yeah, just talk to me about that and how happy you are for Jack.
Yeah, listen, I'm delighted to be working with somebody like Jack because he's a throwback in the sense of he'll fight anybody, any challenge. And listen, I'm blessed to be working with people like that. I've always I've worked with a lot of good fighters in the past that have a similar mindset to that, and he's a great kid, Jack, and I'm proper privileged and excited to be working with him, mate.
Obviously he's got a fight on May 27th.
Yeah.
And I think he's out again. I think they've got a pencil date in again to get him out quickly to keep him busy. Where's this Regis Prograis fight? Can you give us shining light on this? Is this a possibility?
Yeah, look, that fight was there. That fight was there. Things happened. It didn't materialise. But I was speaking with Frank Smith and Eddie on at the weekend, and I was like, listen, Jack's going to fight on May the 27th. He's not boxed for such a long time now, so he's going to have a 10-12 rounder. And then September, we're looking for a big one. And then 3 fights in 9 months for Jack Catterall, Andrew. And it's we're really looking forward to it. And Jack's obviously ecstatic with the fact that he's now got some stability in his career, knows when he's boxing, and he knows as soon as he's boxed on May 27th, a couple of weeks off, 1 or 2 weeks off, straight back into camp, big one. And there's some big names being spoken about. He's going to headline the Manchester Arena in the last quarter of the year, Andrew. So yeah, we're looking forward to that, mate.
Good news. I spoke to Josh Taylor last night, and I said,
I watched your interview. Where
does that leave the rematch then? Obviously, Josh is with Top Rank and ESPN out in the US, Sky Sports, and then Eddie Hearn and DAZN over here. So again, we know the networks and different promoters that when they have these fighters, the deal gets harder to be made.
No, I honestly disagree in this sense because look, Andrew, me and you had a conversation off camera, right? And what did I tell you about Josh Taylor? I respect Josh, and I'm a fan of his, yeah. And I don't like the fact that, so Josh, if he's watching, I don't like the fact that he gets his whole career defined by a lot of people, which you see it. Oh, you lost to Jack Catterall. Listen, he thinks he won the fight. I beg to differ. Pretty much the whole world do as well. But it is what it is. He's still been the undisputed champion. He's still boxed undefeated fighter after undefeated fight. If you look at his record, it's elite. Like it's elite what he's achieved. Absolutely unbelievable. He's beat Regis Prograis. He beat Regis Prograis in a very close fight, but it was an unbelievable, one of the best fights you'll see. My opinion, he lost to Jack. The rematch is always going to be there, Andrew. And I can't look at that. Someone asked me, they were like, oh, he's ducked Jack to fight Lopez. I don't think you can say he's ducked somebody to fight Teofimo Lopez. You understand what I mean? It's a great fight with Lopez, and I wish him all the best. I think he wasn't in the best form, Josh. I know he hurt his foot and stuff, but that's a great fight with Lopez. And providing Jack keeps winning, and Josh, even if, say, for example, one of them lost, the fight's always going to be there because Josh knows, because he's a fighting man deep down, he wants to fight Jack again. I know he does. I don't need to wind Josh up and say, oh yeah, you're scared to fight, because I know deep down in Josh's heart, he knows that fight was he got a bit of a lucky escape that night, but he did, yeah. He wants to put that right. He wants to put that right and think, I'll show you this time. And so we're going to get it, Andrew. I do believe we're going to get it. Jack's going to have. You can't base your career, base Jack's career around chasing the Josh Taylor fight. He did that for a year. Jack's going to have his own big nights coming, and then we'll get together when the time's right, and we will make that fight. I am confident of that. We will make that fight, and I believe Jack will be bringing a world title to the table this time, to the negotiation table. But I've got no doubts in my mind that fight will happen because sensible heads will prevail. I'm easy to work with. As I say, Top Rank, I've dealt with them in the past. Great to work with. Eddie, easy. Listen, we'll get together and we'll make that fight, and we'll see what happens. Who knows? It could be a trilogy, Andrew. Who knows?
Well, you know me, I'm I'm all down for the trilogies. I like the Pacquiao Morales trilogy, the Ward Gatti trilogy. I'm all down
That's-
with Tyson Fury Wilder trilogy. I'm down to trilogies. I'm
But
down.
but that's fair. But that's fair enough. That what I've just said about Josh. Yeah, that's fair enough. Yeah, as I say, I've got respect for Josh Taylor as a fighter. I just think Jack beat him on the night, and we'll see the rematch, whether it's the end of this year, whether it's the first quarter of the following year. We will see it. Could see it at 140. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But that fight's always going to be there. There's always going to be spite involved because they both don't particularly like each other, and yeah. That it'll be a fantastic rematch when it eventually happens. But listen, all the best to him against Teofimo Lopez. I'll be watching that. Really looking forward to that fight. I think it's June the 10th in the Hulu. June the 10th in the Hulu. Yeah, looking forward to that. And I hope he gets some coverage as well, because when he boxed Ramirez, he got no coverage whatsoever when he won the Undisputed title. Great performance from him. Hopefully he gets a lot of coverage for that fight, because again, it's another fight, another great fight for Josh.
Definitely. Well, good luck, Sam, with Jack, and obviously a year out the ring for Jack is a long time. And
It's not good enough. It's not
had a
good.
long year. Before the Josh Taylor fight, he had another year out the ring or whatever it may be. So.
Andrew, that was the key thing to this, right? The key decision, right? Because listen, bear in mind, you have to remember, and I always reiterate this, when I've worked, when back involved with fighters again, fighters are the boss, Andrew. If fighters instruct you, to do something, you have to do it. You can advise, you can say, I think this, but ultimately, Jack wanted to sign with Matchroom, and he wanted stability in his career, and he wanted a path. We've got the path, we've got the fight dates. Now it's time for Jack to get in the gym, do what he does best, and become a world champion.
Exactly. Well, Mr. Sam Jones, I've had you for a long time again. You're an absolute diamond of a man for taking some time out for me again. But listen, hopefully I'll see you at the next show, wherever that may be. I don't know when it will be, but hopefully I'll see you at the next one. And listen, enjoy the rest of your Monday. Yeah, you too, Andrew. Thank you for having me, mate. It's always a pleasure to catch up with you, sir. Thank you very much, Sam. Thumbs up, brother. Cheers, mate. Take care, mate. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Refuse to not be first.
Do we do enough? Well, I never shut up about it.
It must have been about 16, 17. We nicked their guilt rings. Right, the bouncer's guilt ring.
This is no good for me. That's the reality. If you want the honest truth, and I see it every day,